What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to discuss the 9 type of people you need to avoid having in your life. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like HS, salute. Now, you're only really as good as the company you keep, and those that are around you have an effect on you and your life. Not to mention, those you choose to associate yourself with speaks volumes about what you stand for and what you value. And when you have the wrong people around you, their bad behavior can eventually rub off on you. And that's what I want to talk to you about on today's video. On today's video, I'm going to talk to you about 9 types of people you definitely want to avoid. They can definitely have a negative effect on you and your life's outcomes. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. First up on the list of the type of people you definitely want to avoid having in your life, stay away from people that are overly negative. Here's the thing. When you're around somebody who's constantly negative, their attitude will rub off on you. You'll find yourself being less optimistic. People around you that are constantly negative actually drain your energy and they stunt your growth. You may notice that when you're hanging around people that have that cup half empty attitude, it bleeds into your life. And another thing you often see from negative people you have in your life, they often offer negative reinforcement. The things you're not sure about, the things you're having problems with, they'll agree it's something wrong. And so if you want to grow, be optimistic, and chase your dreams, it definitely helps to avoid negative people. Now, the next type of person you definitely want to avoid is a kissing cousin of our negative fella. Make sure you stay away from people who play the perpetual victim. You know, the woe is me type. Please make sure you're staying away from the person who thinks the world is against them. Everything happens to them, they have no hope. You see, when you feel like you're always a victim, you don't see a reason to try, and this can bleed into your life. The person who plays the perpetual victim wallows in negativity, wallows in sadness, and feeling sorry for themselves. You don't need them around because this type of person takes no accountability and always makes excuses. This is just some negative energy. You'll notice that this type of person can always identify problems but can never come up with solutions. Do yourself a favor, avoid the perpetual victim. Now, next up is the type of person guys usually don't think hang around them. But I'm here to tell you, we do it just as much as the ladies. Make sure you try to stay away from those that constantly gossip. The problem with people that are gossips, yes, we all talk about other people's goings on, but gossiping people focus on negative outcomes in other people's lives. They're not spreading good news, it's usually bad. And you'll notice a person who gossips a lot usually takes pleasures in other people's misfortunes. But here's what I need you to think about. This gossiping person, they'll probably talk about you when you're not around, and they'll love to see you fall. And most of the time, a person who gossips a lot focuses on other people's weaknesses so they don't have to face their own. Keep in mind one of my favorite quotes. This was said by Eleanor Roosevelt. Great people discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss other people. Next up on the list is a person you want to avoid because they're a big time drain on you and your energy. Try to stay away from people that are overly needy. The thing about people that are overly needy, they engage in relationships that aren't reciprocal. You notice you'll do all the giving and none of the receiving. You will find yourself in a very unbalanced relationship. This isn't healthy for you. This is a great way to get taken advantage of and get drained. And I'm not just talking about people who need things from you. What can be even worse, emotionally needy people. You know, the one who always has to vent, always has problems, always the person they lean on to get their things out, but they have no time to listen to your problems. If you want to have somebody in your life who takes, and drains you of all your energy, have people in your life that are always needy. Now, the overly needy person will often exhibit the next trait we're going to talk about in people you should avoid. Do your best to stay away from people that are overly temperamental. You know, the guy who's quick to anger, loses cool? When you were younger, it might have been the guy who's always getting into fights. Out of the blue sometimes, it seems. Stay away from that person. But I'm not just talking about people that are quick to anger. I'm talking about anyone whose temperament changes from minute to minute. Problem with this type of person, they bring unnecessary stress and tension in your life. You'll notice you're in an environment where you feel like you have to walk on eggshells. We all deal with a full range of human emotions, but the people you want around you are those who can process those emotions and act on them in a rational fashion. And one of the huge problems with overly temperamental people, you'll often see they drag you into their stuff. You don't want that. If you want peace and calm in your life, do your best to stay away from overly temperamental people. Next up on the list is the type of person you don't want in your life because this bad habit can easily bleed into yours. Stay away from lazy people. Lazy people often have no sense of purpose, they make a bunch of excuses, and suffer in the area of productivity. And this can bleed easily into your life. If they don't influence you to become more lazy, you'll notice these type of relationships, you'll be pulling more of the weight. Whether it's a coworker, a friend, a family member, their 20% effort will often lead to you having to put in 80%. Nobody wants to do that. Oftentimes we all can slack a bit. If you're around a slacker, it's much easier to do so. The more you surround yourself with people that are on their purpose, have drive and ambition, the more they'll bleed into your life. Stay away from lazy people. Next up is the type of person who exhibits traits that drive me crazy, and I try to avoid them like the plague. I recommend you do so as well. Stay away from people that are self-absorbed. You know, the egotistical guy? The self-absorbed person is only concerned about themselves. They have little to no interest about what's going on in your life or other people's as well. Self-absorbed people lack empathy, they lack compassion, and everything is slanted to making sure they have the best outcome. And you'll often notice the self-absorbed person will steal your energy and often try to steal your shine. And here's the thing, I believe we all should put ourselves first, but not first, second, and third. You have to care about other people as well. If you find yourself hanging around a self-absorbed person, you'll notice you'll often get the short end of the stick. Everybody should put themselves first, but you shouldn't be self-absorbed. Now, this next type of person can definitely do damage in your life. Do your best to stay away from people who are constantly critical of you. Now, here's the thing, we all can use constructive criticism from time to time, but the overly critical person, here's what you notice. Nothing you do is ever good enough. They pick apart everything you do. No matter what you do, they'll find ways to never be impressed. And the thing about this overly critical person, they usually have low self-esteem and a lot of insecurities. Thus, they're projecting their insecurities on you. So here's the thing, you want people in your life who will hold you accountable and will offer constructive criticism, but to a limit. Eventually, it's just tearing you down. Nobody needs somebody that's always picking them apart. Avoid people who are overly critical. Now, overly critical people often have a lot in common with the next person you want to avoid in your life. Stay away from people that are jealous or envious. Now, I know this might seem quite obvious. Sometimes the signs of a jealous person are quite subtle. Do you notice they're always trying to outdo you, upstage you? And here's another obvious sign of a jealous person. Every time you share good news, they greet it with bad news. One of the things that can happen without you even noticing it, a jealous person can sabotage your life, either directly or indirectly. Worst things that can happen, they will question you and your success and happiness so much, you might find yourself questioning your own worthiness. You definitely don't want that. You see, jealous people don't believe you deserve your happiness, your success, or that you've earned your accomplishments. Jealous people really want you to fail. Misery loves company. Do your best to stay away from envious or jealous people. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, you're really only as good as the company you keep. And I firmly believe from time to time, you should reevaluate your relationships. Are there people in your life who exhibit one or several of the traits we talked about in today's video? If so, you might want to start avoiding them. Now, as always, I'd love to have your input. Let the Style O.G family know in the comment section if there's some personality traits in people they should avoid that I might have left off today's list.